Okay, so let's get into this. There's this unique kind of excitement, the kind you get when a story you love, maybe from an indie game or a really well-drawn manga, finally makes that big leap
To a full anime adaptation.
Exactly. And that's exactly what's happening right now with the Case Book of Arne. And we're not just circling the date on the calendar. We're doing a full deep dive on everything that just dropped. The new trailer, the plot summary, the full list of the production team, and even new cast members. It's all pointing to that January 6, 2026 debut. So the goal here for you is to put all this new information together. We want to give you the context, the tools to really understand not just what the show is, but why this adaptation in particular feels like it's set up to be, well, a pretty big deal.
And it's compelling because the foundation is so unusual. I mean, this series isn't just your standard fantasy fare. It's this strange mix, this cocktail where you have the cool logic of a detective story clashing with this really deep supernatural mystery.
Just supernatural intrigue, yeah.
So we're here to give you that shortcut, that behind-the-scenes look at why the fans of the game and the manga are already so excited.
Let's just jump straight into the story then, because that central dynamic is, it's everything. The Case Book of Arne is framed right away as this supernatural thriller, and it really hinges on these two main characters.
They're almost perfect opposites. One is deeply cynical, and the other is dangerously naive.
So at the heart of it, you've got Arne Neuntöte.
Right, and he's a vampire detective. But the key thing to know is that he's skilled at manipulating the otherworldly. He's not just a PI. He's more like a powerful broker between these different realms.
He manages the city's balance.
Exactly. He's not just solving crimes. He's managing the whole supernatural ecosystem.
And then you have his counterpart, Lynn Reinweiß. She's a noblewoman with a very specific obsession.
A fascination with vampires. It's almost romanticized.
And that kind of naivety, that curiosity, it's the perfect vulnerability for a character like Arne to exploit.
Yeah.
Whether he means to or not.
That's the spark right there. The plot gets going when Lynn goes to Arne for help. There's been a murder, a new one, and it's threatening the very fragile peace in their city, Lügenberg.
It just forces their two worlds to collide.
The human and the undead, immediately.
So Lügenberg itself, it sounds like it's designed for drama. Is it just, your typical foggy, gothic European city?
No, it's much more intentional than that. Lügenberg is unique because it's a city that was specifically built to house both humans and non-humans.
Okay.
So think of it less like a backdrop and more like a pressure cooker, a social experiment where the laws, the architecture, everything has to account for these two totally different populations. And that's where the real conflict comes from. Lynn's normal life in the human part of the city just smashes right into the bizarre political and criminal world that Arne navigates.
So as they investigate, they're not just solving a murder.
No, they're peeling back layers of secrets about the city itself. Shadowy truths, trust, betrayal, all of that. Especially when your partner is immortal and, well, you have a crush on him.
And the tone from the trailer, it's not just dark, is it? It has this sharp kind of satirical bite to it.
It does. It really leans into that dynamic of the all-powerful vampire just sort of observing the strange little humans.
He seems almost amused by it all.
Exactly. And the promotional stuff captures that perfectly. Arne has that one line in the trailer, that really provocative quote.
Oh, yeah. Come on, human. You may dance merrily under the crimson moon.
It's just dripping with this dark, almost celebratory cruelty. The humor isn't light at all. It's the kind of wit that only someone who's, lived forever and holds all the cards can really pull off.
That mix of dark comedy and genuine danger really sets the tone. But to get why the expectations are so high for this anime, we need to go back a bit. We need to trace this story's journey.
Yeah, you really do. To appreciate the adaptation, you have to appreciate where it came from. The whole thing started with one creator, Haruo Murasaki, who first launched it in the indie gaming scene.
So this was back in 2017.
2017, yeah. And the game, because of its really compelling story, it just found this dedicated global audience pretty quickly. It worked so well as a visual novel, which is a format that's, perfect for deep character stories and branching paths. You get to really soak in the mystery.
Okay, so it's already a proven success in an interactive format, which is huge. But that brings up a big question, doesn't it? If the game's strength is that player choice, that branching narrative, doesn't an anime risk losing that?
It's the tightrope walk, absolutely.
That's always the challenge for the animation team.
It really is. I mean, moving from an interactive visual novel to a linear weekly anime, is probably the biggest hurdle they face. They have to pick one path, the canonical one, and that means they might have to cut out whole storylines that fans of the game really love.
Or find clever ways to weave them in.
Or integrate them subtly, yeah. But the visual success wasn't just in the game. It got a manga adaptation pretty quickly after that.
Right, illustrated by Soraho Ina.
Exactly. It ran for a few years, from late 2018 to early 2022 in Monthly Comic Gene. And the manga proved that the core story, the characters, they could work perfectly well in a static, page-by-page format.
Which is where it gets really interesting for the anime studio. Because now they don't just have the game fans to think about, they also have manga readers who have their own ideas about pacing and character design.
The pressure is immense.
When you have two successful versions already out there, the expectation to get the third one, the animated one, just right, it's huge. And meeting that kind of expectation, well, it requires a team with some serious experience. So let's shift gears and look at the crew. The people who are actually tasked with bringing this very dense world to life.
This is where you can see their commitment.
Yeah.
I mean, the studio choice alone is a big signal.
Yeah,
Silver Link.
They have a solid track record.
A great track record. They're known for adapting complex source material. Things like Bofuri or parts of the Fate franchise. They can handle that balance of intense drama and really polished visuals. And at the helm, directing, is Keisuke Ino. He's a bit of a newer name as a head director, but he's known for having this really sharp eye for character expression and visual staging.
Which for a detective story is crucial.
It's everything. It's not just what you see, but how it's framed. The tension, the subtle looks, it all relies on that.
So what about that big structural challenge you mentioned earlier? How are they actually building the plot for a weekly show?
That's the most telling part. The series compositions, so the overall architecture of the story, are being handled by two people. The original creator, Murasaki.
Oh, that's a good sign.
It is Murasaki and Keisuke Ino.
Yeah.
That partnership is vital. They have to translate that slow, choice-driven game into a tight, linear series. Having the original creator there ensures that character motivations don't get lost in the shuffle.
And Inui makes sure it works for TV.
Precisely. He ensures it fits the demands of episodic television.
So that gives you confidence in the story. But what about the look? I mean, the characters, Arne and Lynn, they have to feel right.
That falls to a couple of key people. Harutoru is doing the original character designs, but the really critical role is the animation character designer and chief animation director. That's Akiko Sato.
And that's a very technical job.
Highly technical. The chief animation director is the person who guarantees visual consistency across the entire series.
Across hundreds of animators.
Hundreds, yeah, often working at different studios.
Yeah.
So Sato's job is to make sure every emotional beat, every subtle expression, every character model looks consistent and high quality. She's the one who prevents that dreaded off-model look.
And then, of course, you have the music. To sell this eerie, supernatural city, you need a score that can really deliver that atmosphere.
You absolutely do. And they've got Yoshiaki Fujisawa for the score. He's fantastic. Known for these really enchanting atmospheric scores for shows like No Game, No Life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So his task is to build a soundscape that can blend that gothic mystery with the sharp suspense of a detective thriller.
What's so interesting is that it seems like every single one of these staff choices is meant to solve a specific problem with this kind of adaptation.
That's a great way to put it.
You've got Murasaki for story fidelity, Sato for visual polish, and Fujisawa for the tone. They know the fans are watching very, very closely.
They're not just aiming for a good adaptation. They're aiming for something that feels visually rich and narratively solid enough to be a benchmark for how you turn a visual novel into a great anime.
Speaking of enriching the series, there's more. We just got word of 6 new voice actors joining the cast, which tells us a lot about the world they're building. For you, if you want those insider details, this shows they're really committed to expanding the world beyond just Arne and Lynn.
Yeah, this new cast list really tells you about the ecosystem of Lügenberg. It's not just going to be an empty stage for the main duo. They've confirmed 6 new voices, and that fleshes out the whole world with allies, antagonists, and everything in between. So let's run through who's joining, because the actor's reputation can often give you a hint about the character's role. First, we have Gordon, voiced by Hiroshi Naka.
Okay, Hiroshi Naka. I know that name. He often plays these deep, authoritative, older characters, right?
Exactly, like a police chief, maybe, or some skeptical city elder. His casting suggests Gordon will be the voice of the human establishment, someone who could create some real friction for Arne and Lynn.
That makes a lot of sense. In a city like Lügenberg, a powerful non-human like Arne would need a human contact point or an
Right.
adversary.
Precisely. Then you have Diana, voiced by Ryo Osanai, and Eliza, voiced by Momoka Terasawa. Both are talented actors, and their casting suggests they could be part of the support network, maybe crucial witnesses or allies.
Or victims that kick off a new case.
Or sadly, yeah, victims.
And what about the other new cast members?
We've also got Burned, voiced by Rokuya Yasuda, and Heinz, voiced by Yudo Umura. Now, Umura is a pretty big name. He's in My Hero Academia.
Oh, right.
So giving a high-profile actor like him a supporting role like Heinz suggests that character is going to be important, maybe for a big dramatic moment, or maybe some comic relief. High impact, for sure. And finally, there's Kai, voiced by Kakuro Hotano, another solid addition. By bringing in this lineup of really recognizable talent, the team is guaranteeing that Arne and Lynn's work won't happen in a vacuum.
They'll be navigating a whole city of complex, well-voiced people.
All of them with their own secrets, probably.
And that's a key piece of this puzzle. It tells you that the drama is going to be layered, coming from all sides, human and otherwise. So as the plot unfolds, you're going to have all these other interesting characters to focus on, not just the central mystery. So as we wrap up this deep dive and start the countdown, let's just quickly recap the key things for you to take away. First, we're looking at the premiere of the Case Book of Arne. It's this fascinating mix of genres centered on Arne, the sardonic vampire detective, and Lynn, the curious noblewoman.
And their partnership starts with a murder unfolding in the very mysterious city of Lügenberg, a city with both human and non-human populations.
And we know the story is going to explore those big themes of trust, betrayal, and power. And of course, mark your calendars. It all begins January 6, 2026.
And we know this really complex story, which already succeeded as a game and a manga, is now in the hands of a great studio, Silver Link, with a team that includes the original creator. They're making sure the tone is perfectly preserved.
So the last thought we want to leave you with.
It's really about where this series fits. I mean, by adapting such a beloved game and manga, the team is taking a huge risk. But the quality of the staff they've assembled, the expanded voice cast, it all points to a clear ambition.
They're trying to carve out their own space.
Right. They're aiming to create a unique niche in a really crowded market by blending this gothic elegance with the grit of a detective procedural. The ultimate test, though, won't just be how faithful it is to the game.
It'll be how they handle the pacing.
Exactly. How well they balance that dense story from the source material with the sharp weekly demands of TV. So as you watch, keep an eye on the smaller mysteries, the secrets kept by all those new supporting characters. Because that hidden depth, that's what will make the series last long after that initial hook of the vampire and his human assistant wears off.